to learn about law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. Today we're going to talk about some changes to Illinois spousal maintenance law that we expect to see in 2018. So back on July 28th, 2017, the Illinois General Assembly passed House Bill 2537, which proposes to make some changes to the Illinois Marriage and Dissolution of Marriage Act, specifically 3 sections of the maintenance law that we're going to explain. We expect Governor Rauner to sign it into law. We expect it to go into law either in January of 2018 or July of 2018. So what we're going to do is kind of give a brief summary of how maintenance law works, the basic framework, and then we're going to talk about the 3 big changes we expect to see in 2018. So for some foundational knowledge about how maintenance law works, you can check out learn-about-law.com. We have a great article and video and podcast on the topic that talks about the current state of maintenance law. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, though. So when a couple comes in arguing about whether spousal maintenance should be awarded, the judge looks at several factors that we lay out in our previous video. And those, based on those factors, the judge will determine whether maintenance is appropriate. If maintenance is appropriate, the next thing the judge will look at is whether the combined income of the couple is below a statutory threshold. So right now the threshold is $250,000, and if the income is below $250,000, then the judge is instructed to apply statutory guidelines to determine how long the maintenance will last and how much the maintenance payments will be. If the combined income is above that statutory threshold, so currently above $250,000, then the judge has discretion to basically determine how long and how much the maintenance payments will be outside of the statutory guidelines. So you hear about, celebrities that get divorced, they have mega maintenance payments that would be way more than the statutory guidelines because they're above that combined income threshold, and the judge can award, basically they're wealthy, so the judge can award more in maintenance if the judge so desires based on weighing the factors. Even if you're below the threshold, the judge can deviate from the statutory guidelines, but the judge has to include in his or her order why he or she thought to deviate from the guidelines based on weighing the factors that we discussed in our previous video. So that's the framework for maintenance. And the basic framework isn't going to change in 2018, but there's going to be some tweaks to the law. The first tweak is that the statutory threshold under which for combined income under which the maintenance guidelines will be applied is being raised from $250,000 to $500,000. So that means couples with a higher income level will have the guidelines applied, and judges will have less discretion as to deviation from those guidelines. So whereas before, if you were below $250,000 in combined income, the guidelines applied for duration and length of maintenance payments, and if you were above, the judge could award much larger amounts at the judge's discretion. Now that threshold is $500,000. So if you're below $500,000 under the new law in combined income, then the judge is required to apply the statutory guidelines. If you're above that amount, the judge can deviate. So basically, bottom line, wealthier couples in 2018 will have the statutory guidelines applied than did previously. The second change, and this is probably the hardest to describe, is that for some people, the duration of maintenance payments will be slightly reduced. So the way under the statutory guidelines the judges are instructed to award maintenance is based on how long the couple has been married. There's a multiplying percentage that you multiply by the length of the marriage to determine how long to apply maintenance payments for. So the shorter the marriage, the smaller that percentage, and it goes from 0 to 20 years. Once you get to 20 years, the guidelines instruct the judge to at least have maintenance payments equaling the length of the marriage. So the best way to describe this, I suppose, is that if you've been married for 4 years, you're not necessarily going to be paying maintenance payments for 4 years. You're going to multiply the number 4, the length of the marriage, by a statutory factor and then determine how long those are going to be. So in the case of 4, under both the new law and the old law, you multiply 4, the length of the marriage, by the statutory factor, which is 0.2, 20%, and then you get to that. That's how long the maintenance payments are going to be for. So as the length of the marriage increases, the multiplying percentage also increases. So as you get closer and closer to 20 years, you're going to be paying maintenance for closer and closer to the full length of the marriage. So that's a pretty big thing to dig into. If you check out our article, we describe it in a little more depth. So if that was too much math for you, I understand. It's hard to describe, but we have it in writing at learn-about-law.com. So that's the way it works under both the current law and the proposed new law for 2018. The difference is that the multiplying factor under the old law, the current law, jumps up in 5-year increments. So in years 1 through the end of year 4 that you've been married, it's going to be a multiplying factor of 20%. 20% times the length of the marriage is how long the maintenance payments will go for. In years 5 through the end of year 9, it's a multiplying factor of 40%. And then, 10 through 14, it's 60% upwards, every 5 years until you hit year 20, where the multiplying factor is 100% or equal to the length of the marriage. So it's 5-year increments. The change is that, in years 1 through the end of year 4, the multiplying factor is going to remain the same, 20%. But then rather than jumping immediately up to from 20% to 40% once year 5 hits, it's going to, over the course of year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and ultimately 10, climb up from 20% to 40% incrementally. So that means that if you're in year 1 through 5, you'll be paying maintenance for the same duration under this law as you would under the previous law. But in years 6, 7, 8, 9, the maintenance payments are going to be for a shorter duration, because rather than in year 5 jumping immediately up to 40%, it climbs gradually from 20% of the length of the marriage to 40%. And it does that in every 5-year increment. So years 1 through 5 will be the same, year 10 will be the same, year 15 will be the same, and then 20 and longer will be the same. But it's those in-between years where it's, rather than jumping up to the higher multiplying factor, incrementally climbing to that multiplying factor, those in-between years, the maintenance duration will be for a shorter time under the new law than it is under the old law. So highly wonky, highly technical. We have, on our article associated with this video, we have basically both tables broken down on what the multiplying factors will be, and it's pretty easy to see when it's right in front of you. But the bottom line that you need to know is that under the new law, for some people, maintenance payments are going to be for a shorter duration. They'll never be for a longer duration for anybody. For some people, they'll be the same. For some people, it'll be for a shorter duration based on how long the marriage is. All right, so that's enough with the math. The last thing we need to talk about is probably the easiest to wrap your head around. So under the 2015 current version of the law, once you hit the 20-year mark, the guidelines say that the maintenance payments will continue for a time period equaling the length of the marriage, or alternatively, the judge can order permanent maintenance. So the judge has the choice between, if you're married for 25 years, ordering 25 years of maintenance, or just saying permanent maintenance. All right, now under the 2018 version of the law, it's going to be, just like before, the length of the marriage, or instead of permanent maintenance, maintenance for an indefinite term. So for some people who otherwise would have been paying maintenance permanently, it's going to be for an indefinite term, and they might have the possibility of eventually having those maintenance payments terminate. So there won't be any more permanent maintenance. It'll be indefinite term maintenance, and then, at some point, there's a chance, if you've been married a long time and you would otherwise have permanent maintenance, that maintenance might terminate because it's indefinite, not permanent. So those are the 3 big changes that we expect in 2018. Again, this hasn't been signed into law yet. We expect it will be. We expect that this will go into effect in January or July of 2018. And we'll kind of update our article and do more videos if we see any more changes. But stay tuned to learn-about-law.com for more articles, videos, and podcasts on family law and every other topic of law. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for watching our video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Click the subscribe button for new videos every week and download and review us on iTunes. Visit learn-about-law.com for other legal-related articles and videos. Visit our business podcast and video blog, seizeyourbusiness.com, and visit makingrealestatefun.com for real estate videos and podcasts. Call us at 630-324-6666 for a free consultation.